بسم الله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. Thank you for joining us today. The session is Level Up, Growing with MAS Beyond the Convention. And we really thank everyone for being in here. We wanted to use this opportunity to explain how to be involved with MAS. We know that MAS is a vehicle for engaging in Islamic work as a collective, learn and explore the intrinsic meaning of tarbiyah and the methodology used to build a Muslim individual, family, and society. Explore practical ways to engage in Islamic work and how your growth journey can level you and your community up. With us today, alhamdulillah, we have Dr. Ayman Hamous. He's our Executive Director of MAS, and Sister Yaman Atiyah. She is our Tarbiyah and Youth Ministry Director. Myself, I'm the MAS National Operations Manager, and we're very excited here to share with you further opportunities.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't introduce him. You have 10 minutes.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Energy level 537 energy level. We learned this. We brought a consultant to MAS, and that was his first question in every meeting. So I'm trying to. You know what I wish for us? If you can kindly move forward. You know, I wish with this intimate group that maybe we have a halaqa and we sit down and talk. I think it's more, alhamdulillah, I'm happy that this is a small group of people. Jazakallah khair for being here. We cannot thank you enough. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward you. How many of you had just attended the previous session with Imam Siraj Wahaj, 45 minutes ago? So you were there when I spoke. So I can't repeat what I said.
Yeah, you cannot.
خلاص, طيب, Jazakallah khair. So I'm going to talk the term tarbiyah, or we spoke about the term tarbiyah and tazkiyah in the previous session. So often, of course, after alhamdulillah wa salatu wa salam ala rasulullah, so often people use the term tarbiyah or tazkiyah as an alternative for the term knowledge and information. And there are completely two separate things. The term knowledge, when we sit in this type of setting, in front of a speakers or attend a workshop, that's actually a knowledge component, which is one element of tarbiyah in Islam. One element of tarbiyah. And I always refer to the prophetic methodology in raising the generation of companions. That generation of companions that changed the history of this humanity, literally. How did the Prophet ﷺ raise that generation? I always refer to the first 3 surah from the Quran. Recite. This represents an intellectual growth, an educational growth. Prophet ﷺ said, "Ballighu anni walau ayah." Convey on my behalf even a verse. The Prophet ﷺ encouraged the Sahaba to learn the Quran. Those who recite the Quran with difficulty get actually the reward, double reward, because a reward for the recitation and a reward for the difficulty and the hardship that they go through. And when we speak about knowledge, we're not referring only to the knowledge of dunya, deen, but referring to the knowledge of dunya as well. So you have, apologize, this is what I do for a living. I answer phone calls. Sorry about that. So that is the intellectual growth. Second surah, Ya ayyuha al-muzammil, qum al-layla illa qalila. The connection with Allah, the spiritual growth with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Third, Ya ayyuha al-muddathir, qum fa-andir, stand and warn. Convey the message. وَرَبَّكَ فَكَبِّرْ وَثِيَابَكَ فَطَهِّرْ وَالرُّجْزَ فَهْجُرْ. These elements is a moral growth. So there are 4 aspects as we understand it in MAS, according to the prophetic model of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that we need to pay attention to as we grow as individual Muslims. We need a growth in our education and knowledge. We need a growth in our spirituality and connection to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We need a growth on our manners and akhlaq. And we need to translate those 3 aspects into activism and da'wah. And this what makes the generation of Rasulullah sallam is a unique generation. Not every single one of them was a hafiz of the Quran. I don't memorize the entire Quran. Sayyidina Khalid ibn al-Walid radiallahu anhu used to say, شَغَلَنِ الْجِهَادُ عَنِ الْكَثِيرِ مِنَ الْقُرْآنِ. Jihad, diverted me, distracted me from memorizing much of the Quran. It wasn't his skill set. It wasn't the knowledge that what made Khalid a hero in the history of Islam. It was a different skill set in da'wah and jihad, in this particular situation. While somebody like Ubay ibn Ka'b, his talent was in the knowledge, the Quran. Abdullah ibn Abbas was the faqih of this ummah. He was talented in that. But with that, we need to develop ourselves in those four aspects. Is that right? So when you look, and I have only 10 minutes, so I'm just trying to summarize maybe a day or two workshop in 10 minutes for you. So when you look at the words of the Quran, those four surahs, so the homework here is to go back and read them, these three surahs, and reflect on every and each one of them. And when you see the Quran use the same exact term of rijal that I used in the word rajul. And by the way, this is not a reference to a gender. It's the manhood mentioned in the Quran. It refers to a quality of the believing men or women. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in Surah An-Nur, when Allah gave an example of the light of Allah, Allah nuru samawati wal ard. We know, I think verse 35 in Surah An-Nur. The very next ayah, Allah said, في بيوت أذن الله أن ترفع ويذكر فيها اسمه يسبح له فيها بالغدو والآصال رجال. In houses that Allah permitted for these houses to be raised, in it, Allah is glorified morning and evening by a rijal, by a believing men and women. So this is the spiritual growth of those individuals. And Rasul Sallam wanted this group of people who come to the masjid that their hearts are attached to the akhirah. There is this beautiful hadith narrated by Imam al-Bukhari when one day Abu Ubaidah came with a lot of wealth from al-Bahrain. So Sahaba showed up in the masjid. It was clear that it was full than any other day. Look at the Sahaba, also the humans. So there were other masajid in Medina. In that particular day, everybody showed up to the masjid. Why? Because there is money coming from al-Bahrain and everybody's coming to this. And I wanted to, this is a tarbiyah here. A tarbiyah when you look at people in a particular situation and you connect them to the message of the deen. So that is a tarbiyah event. This is not a lecture. This is a tarbiyah event. When the Prophet ﷺ saw the masjid is full, so what did he do? He finished the salah, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Finished the khitam al-salah, he stood up and he walked away. The narrator of the hadith said, فَتَعَرَّضْنَا لَهُ. We came in front of him. Like we were looking into his eyes, trying to tell him, so what is next? Where is the money? Then the Prophet ﷺ smiled and told him, لَعَلَّكُمْ سَمِعْتُمْ بِقُدُومِ أَبِي عُبَيْدَةَ. Maybe you have heard about the coming of Abu Ubaidah. فَأَبْشِرُوا. Behold of the glad tidings. Then the tarbiyah moment here is فَوَاللَّهِ مَا الْفَقْرَ أَخْشَى عَلَيْكُمْ. I am not concerned about poverty on you. وَلَكِنْ أَخْشَى أَن تُفْتَحَ عَلَيْكُمْ الدُّنْيَا. I'm concerned that this dunya is open, is given to you the same way it was given to those who came before you. Then it will destroy you the same way it destroyed them. This is a moment of mentorship. This is not a celebrity imam giving a lecture watched by 100,000 people. This is somebody pointing to you, you have an issue that you need to fix. That is in ibadah, in a spiritual connection. What about akhlaq? A moment of tarbiyah from the Quran, when the Sahaba in the Battle of Badr, we know the Battle of Badr, happened in which year of the Hijrah? Second year of the Hijrah. This battle, when it took place, Allah granted victory for the Sahaba. Then a lot of spoils of the war. So what happened after that? The Sahaba differed. How can we divide these spoils? Who takes what? And these are the words of, I believe, Abdullah ibn Mas'ud. He said, فَاخْتَلَفْنَا فِي النَّفْلِ. We differed how to divide the spoils of war. For Sayyidina Ahmad قال حتى ساءت فيه أخلاقنا, until our manners became bad. This is not you and I. These are the Sahaba. We have to understand the Sahaba were humans like us. They have their flaws, their shortcomings. Of course, it's the best generation ever that existed in the history of this deen. The best generation, yet they had their own flaws. That's not a moment of lectures. This is not knowledge and information. What did the Quran do? The first ayah in Surah Al-Anfal, please let me know when it's my time. 10 Egyptian minutes. Right?
Okay, inshallah.
So the first ayah in Surah Al-Anfal, يَسْأَلُونَكَ عَنِ الْأَنفَالِ. They ask you about the spoils of war. Ayah number 1. When you look in the entire Quran, every time the word يَسْأَلُونَك, they ask you, the answer is immediately mentioned in the following ayah, except that one time. يَسْأَلُونَكَ عَنِ الْأَهِلَّةِ. They ask you about the stars. قُلْ هِيَ مَوَاقِيتُ لِلنَّاسِ. It is a method for you to know the time. The answer comes right away in the Quran, except that one time in Surah Al-Anfal. يَسْأَلُونَكَ عَنِ الْأَنفَالِ. Verse number 1. The actual answers, Surah Al-Anfal, are 4 rubu'. Verse number 40. فَاعْلَمُوا أَنَّمَا غَنِمْتُمْ لِلَّهِ فَإِنَّ اللَّهِ خُمُسَهُ وَلِرَسُولِهِ. You have 1/5 given to the actual answer came verse number 4. But what is the next ayah? يَسْأَلُونَكَ عَنِ الْأَنفَالِ قُلِ الْأَنفَالُ لِلَّهِ وَالرَّسُولِ. Tell them the spoils belongs to Allah and His Messenger. This is not your concern. You don't pay attention to how the Anfal are divided. قُلِ الْأَنفَالُ لِلَّهِ فَاتَّقُوا اللَّهِ. This is a moment of tarbiyah. At the moment of the human weakness, the Quran is teaching us.
You can wrap it up.
I'm going to wrap up this.
Yes, inshallah.
The Quran tells the Sahaba, that's not your job. Your job, فَاتَّقُوا اللَّهِ, fear Allah. وَأَصْلِحُوا ذَاتَ بَيْنِكُمْ. Fix all matters amongst you. That is the moral. You remember we spoke about knowledge, spirituality, and we spoke about moral development. فَأَصْلِحُوا ذَاتَ بَيْنِكُمْ. Fix all matters amongst you. إن كنتم مؤمنين, if you are true believers. Then Allah continue, إنما المؤمنون الذين, give them a whole description of what al-mu'minin is. So the moment of tarbiyah here is be mindful of Allah, fix all matters, and fulfill the qualities of the believers. And I'm going to give you a list of those qualities. Read them, go through them. Verse number 40, here is what you ask for. That is a moment of tarbiyah. So the difference, I just want to make sure, in MAS, we don't understand tarbiyah as knowledge. It is a moment of reflections upon ourselves. How can we grow? How the state of our heart, the state of our mind, the state of our akhlaq, our commitment, being of a community, engaging, giving da'wah to those who are around us. That is what the tarbiyah is. Jazakumullah khair. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa
Should I ask the
barakatuh.
same question?
Yes, you should.
The energy level should have gone up after his interpreting, right? It should have gone up. Inshallah, it has. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. You know, I congratulate all of you for being here in this room for 2 things. You need to be congratulated for 2 things. First, things that you have realized the importance of. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us in Surah Al-Baqarah, وَإِذْ قَالَ رَبُّكَ لِلْمَلَائِكَةِ إِنِّي جَاعِلٌ فِي الْأَرْضِ خَلِيفَةً. The fact that you are in this room means you understand your responsibility and the purpose of your creation. That you have been put on earth as an individual to change the world around you, to develop it, to grow it, to bring peace, to bring justice, to bring good for humanity and all of the other creation, the environment, everything around us, Muslim and non-Muslim. So the fact that you're here, the first thing I congratulate you on is you've realized that you are a Khalifa, right? And that it's not enough for you just to bring in knowledge and learn things, but you have to use that to change the world around you. So the second thing I want to congratulate you on is because you've realized وَالْعَصْرِ إِنَّ الْإِنسَانَ لَفِي خُسْرٍ إِلَّا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَعَمِلُوا الصَّالِحَاتِ وَتَوَاصَوْا بِالْحَقِّ وَتَوَاصَوْا بِالصَّبْرِ. That to be a Khalifa and to be an agent of change and to bring positive change to the world around you, for every single creation on earth, you will not achieve it individually. You won't succeed as an individual for your own growth or for the growth around you. You will be at loss if you think you can be an agent of change on your own. I know it all, I have the skills I have to be amongst a group, الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا. I have to be amongst a group that have my own mission, that have my same vision, that see their responsibility, that are gonna join together and work together and persevere together and be patient together and remind each other together. And this is what are the two things that I congratulate you on, because that's exactly what MAS is here to do. MAS is that jama'ah, that group, that togetherness as an organization where we work together to change people. And that's exactly our mission. It is to move people and nurture them to become lifelong God-centered agents of change. That's what we do. We take individuals like yourselves and give them the tools, the resources, the knowledge, and the investment. We invest in you so that you can become that Khalifa on earth, inshallah, with others who share that same light, want that same light at the end of the tunnel as you. And so when you become a MAS member, there's a lot of benefit that you get from it. You get to access our resource center. You get to get publications sent to you yearly. You get discounts at some of these great conventions and conferences and programs that we have nationally and locally. But what's more important than all of that is you get to network with others who have the same dream as you and have the same mission as you. And you get to gain resources and connections with people who are going to help you define your skills and achieve your goal. And so at MAS, on a national level, we have 40 chapters across the country in which individuals like yourselves can go in and find out, how am I going to serve my community by being a MAS member? My membership is to help me serve. It's my putting down, saying, this is what I want to commit to, these are the people that I want to work with, this is what I want to do, so that when Allah asks me on that day, when I stand me and Allah alone, I will be able to say, I joined a jama'ah that I believe was working fi sabilillah. At a national level, we make sure that our chapters and individuals like yourself have the resources to achieve just this. So we produce publications, like I said. We run tarbiyah and ilm camps. We have those are in-person kind of resources and learning and training. Then we have online resources and training, like P100 and the Lighthouse Initiative that's coming up soon, right? We have books, like I said, that we produce. We have even trainings that are short-lived and long-lived. We just graduated almost 30 new mentors to lead our halaqat and our usa. They went through a 1-year intense program and were certified as those who can do tarbiyah, leadership and mentoring with the youth on the ground in our chapters. All of these things is what MAS National does. And so I encourage all of you to go on MuslimAmericanSociety.org, and Sister Wafat will take it from here, and to look at what are the resources that are specific for your skill set and your needs in your chapter in the country, the state that you live in, right? To help you become the goals that you want to become, inshallah, as a Khalifa on earth and as a MAS member. Jazakumullah khairan.
So my turn. I'm always the bad guy. I always give the hard part of how to be a member. But before I really get into that, I really want to, my dear sister Smahan, she's our place director, she gave me a kind of, a good starting quote. And it's by John F. Kennedy. He once said, it is not about what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. So the question we ask here is, what can we do for MAS, right? Everyone always wants to worry about, what's in it for me, and what are my benefits, and what am I getting out of it? And I want to take care of that aspect for you guys, right? Everyone wants it's always a give and take. Everyone wants to see something tangible, right? But being committed to a movement, it's very critical for us to understand that we need to give of ourselves as well. And membership, there's 3 aspects to membership, right? There's going to be activism, the aspect of working and volunteering and giving time. There's going to be self-development, the tarbiyah that you are learning yourselves and growing. And there's going to be a financial component of dedication, right? You want to see change, you have to contribute financially to that change, right? It has to be something that is natural for us to do, because we want to be able to move the work, and the work can't be moved without power. And what do we need to have power? Money has to be behind that power. But I don't want us to focus on the money part. That's not important to me. If someone can't afford membership, you come speak to me, we'll make it happen. That is not something that we want it to hinder a person's dedication to being involved with MAS beyond the convention. We want it to be about loving the effort, loving the work, loving the movement, and putting our dedication towards it. So membership, a lot of times you'll find folks like, oh, I'm already a MAS member, like I thought I was, right? They don't know that they're not a MAS member. And it is a technical thing, right? To be a member on paper, you fill out a form and someone pulls up your name and so on. But it is what's in your heart too. So we have so many amazing brothers and sisters active in the dawah, active in their communities, their masajid, and they're a part of MAS, and that's phenomenal, right? But we're looking at the next generation of young Muslims. They want to be a part of something, and we have to give them this opportunity to belong to MAS. It's really simple, it's really easy. It used to be you had to be invited, you had to go through a training and then become a member. The technical part of membership now is a form online. You go to MuslimAmericanSociety.org, you scan one of the barcodes, and you fill out the membership form. But the more important parts of membership are two: activism and tarbiyah. Those of you involved in your communities, those of you involved in your centers, those of you involved in the convention, maybe you only volunteer once a year, but that is your commitment. You're a member by doing that. Being involved in the Islamic work, being involved in Islamic options and opportunities and creating a better place for Muslimin, you already have that part taken care of. And then now it's our part to help you with the tarbiyah part. We have MDP, the Mentorship Development Program. Sister Iman spoke about it. It's a year-long course. We have our tarbiyah and end camps, right? Where you can attend, especially the young folks, ages 18 to, I guess, 30. They get to attend and benefit. And then we have multiple opportunities across Project 100 and the Lighthouse. But I want to help you walk away with what works for you. And we have, mashallah, we have our team members. Brother Ahmed Saqri is he's out there. Sister Munira Abdullah is here, Sister Salma. And then you have myself and Sister Iman. We want to give you guys opportunity outside of the speaking part where you can actually come and talk to us. We have ways where you could fill out the barcode and you can, or QR code, I'm sorry, and you could sign up for being interested in things regardless of membership. There's a form for membership, but then there's a way where you could indicate interest outside of membership if you're not ready to commit yet. But we want people to know that there's so many opportunities for you to be involved in MAS. And I want to close with this really, before we have a live Q&A, and then we'll open the floor for us to network and mingle one-on-one, is when you're in an airplane and the cabin pressure drops, what happens? Who knows? You guys could answer. What is it? The masks fall, right? What are you supposed to do when the masks fall? Put them on. Who puts them on? Do I put it on myself or do I put it on my children or the people around me? On yourself first. So let's help you fill your cup. Let's help you put your mask on. And then we could then in turn help other people put their mask on. Jazakumullah khairan. So Q&A, inshallah. If you don't have any questions, that's great. And if you have questions, but you're also uncomfortable asking it on the mic, we have note cards. I could have a volunteer pass them around. And there's a brother right there, mashallah, he's coming. And that way, if you're not comfortable speaking into the mic, but there is a mic right here that we could answer on, inshallah.
That one works.
Yeah, of course.
Go ahead.
Assalamu alaikum.
Jazakallah
Yaqeen for telling us more about what MAS is, what MAS stands for, and how we can be a part of it. I do have a question more personally for the individuals here on the speaking panel. A lot of times when we talk about MAS, like a lot of it is a narrative. There's something special about MAS, like what it did for you. Do either of you have a story to share with us of how you were touched by MAS and it kind of pushed you and propelled you to continue in your journey with MAS?
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. My story about MAS started when I was planning to move to Dallas. And the first thing I did the first place I visited when I went to Dallas, when I got off the flight, I took my kids and I went to the MAS Center. And it's the experience that I had in those first few moments that made me realize how special it is to be a MAS member. Because as soon as you walk into a MAS space and you have been a MAS member, you've been part of MAS and the growth and the tarbiyah of MAS and the work of MAS, as soon as you get that feeling of brotherhood and sisterhood right away. The sisters that were in the center there greeted me, made me feel welcome, told me about the city, do you need anything, the schools that the kids could attend. And so I felt right away that this is really one of the greatest gems of being involved and being a MAS member. You know, we get texts on our chats and we say, oh, there's somebody moving from, you know, California all the way to New Jersey. Right away, we set that brother or sister up. They're going to school in Boston. We set them up with somebody through the MAS network, and they're taken care of. So it's about being active. It's about working with others that have your same mission and vision. But it's also finding people that are there to support you, your backbone, to give you advice, to take care of you. And that's one of the things that I'll never forget about MAS and what it did for me.
I have something to. I have so many things to share about MAS moments. You know, I get calls from people. I need an executive director of MAS National. I need a remote lawyer in Atlanta. I need an imam for a wedding in South Dakota. It's like, I get this one. But let me literally share a moment, and I'll share my personal experience. I came to this country November 1994. I was 26 years old at that time. You can do the math to figure it out. I'm not going to tell you. But I came to Florida, and I'm a physical therapist by profession. So I was hired by a rehab company. They literally, we had a month training in Orlando for a month. Then they told me your first job in Boca Raton, Florida, South Florida. It's a beautiful city, expensive though. And they told me, here's the hotel. Then 2 weeks, you find yourself an apartment. There was no Google at that time. I went to the Yellow Book, I guess, to find where is the nearest masjid. I found that the nearest masjid is 60 miles away. And I was someone who was very active coming from Egypt, the president of a student union in Cairo University. Like, I'm coming to an area where is the masjid 60 miles away. Why did they come to this country? Then I called a brother, he's like, that I knew from MAS. He said, like, no, I know some MAS brothers in actually Tampa, Florida. Then this called somebody from Tampa, Florida. He's like, no, actually there is MAS brothers in Fort Lauderdale. And literally in 3 days, I walked into an usra where there is a brother from Kuwait, one from Tunisia, 2 Palestinians, 1 Egyptian, 1 born and raised on Ohio. White brother, I was like with blue eyes, I was like, oh wow. So this whole diverse, 1 African American, sitting in Usra, and I walked in a week later. 3 months later, I was moved by my company after I got my board exam to Naples, 90 miles away. I didn't have a car. And a brother used to drive every week from Fort Lauderdale, Florida, 90 miles to Naples, bring me in the weekend to attend my Yusra, and drive me back for 3 months.
Yeah.
Wallahi, if I tell you this, I have brothers in MAS. If I am short in money, I will not call my brothers in blood. I'll call them. I need this. I don't even need to ask. This bond of brotherhood and sisterhood is number 1 thing that keeps me moving. I tell my own kids, look, I'm very comfortable to say I fly the country. In every city, there are brothers that will insist that I spend the night in their homes. I don't need to be in a hotel rooms, and I feel treated as one of their family members. That this bond is a tarbiyah moment, is an experience. I don't know what type of coffee you like. But I'm sure some of you do not go to Dunkin' Donuts and choose to Kahwa House or what. It's an experience. Really something that you cannot, talk about a lot except by actually living it. These are some of my moments in MAS.
Okay, I'll try to finish that.
So this is a tough question just because it could be very long answer. So I'm going to try to keep it very short.
You said you got married through MAS.
That was that was going to be a touch point. This is a short point. So we will fast forward to that point in about 30 seconds. But I kind of just wanted to give my background a little bit. So grew up in a Palestinian family in the West, very sheltered as you could imagine. You know, like your friends were your siblings. Your cousins and aunts and uncles are who you saw Friday, Saturday, Sunday night. My tarbiyah came through my parents' upbringing, alhamdulillah, and I'm very grateful to it. But I wasn't privileged to come to these conventions. I wasn't that, those were opportunities that I experienced. Alhamdulillah, I don't have any resentment. But when I see the youth here, they're very privileged, and I speak to them about that all the time, that you have these opportunities to, whether you're in Islamic school or you have my kids go to a girls' halaqa and they get to do Girl Scouts with Muslimin, and they get to do, that's a privilege, and that's something that you have to be grateful of. And the best way to honor it is to take advantage of it, because I know what it was to live without that. And so we want to fast forward. MAS, halaqa and usra was something I entered when I was in college. It kind of was my second family that adopted me, essentially. And it became like a parent to me. And just like a parent, you might have ups and downs. You might have moments where you disagree. It's not all going to be fine and dandy and unicorns and sprinkles and butterflies, right? It's going to have hardship, but you're going to go through it together because it's family. And MAS is a great place for people of the same nature to meet each other. And my husband and I, we did meet at a MAS youth meeting in Milwaukee. And actually one of the convention organizers, Amu Salah Sarsour, every time he sees my husband and I together, he's like, you owe me money, because we met in Milwaukee, and Milwaukee is his city. And jokingly yesterday, like, no, you owe us money now, because now we have 4 kids, and that's very expensive. Alhamdulillah. But we met at a MAS youth gathering. It is now known as Annual Youth Meeting, which is now the Summit. They have one coming up in September next year. I highly encourage folks that are active in the community to register and be a part of it. But, we were talking to some of the youth the other night, and meeting there, it was very important to me that I meet someone that is from MAS, who's part of MAS, who's active in MAS. And we were just talking about how our kids, they took their first steps in the MAS centers, and their first crawls were in the MAS centers. And it's something that's forever, right? And you want to be able to say that, alhamdulillah, it's a privilege from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to have that opportunity.
So Sister Wafat passed me the first note card we got, and it's a question that says, I'm a brother who has children who are teenagers, and I want them to become active and MAS involved, and how do I go about doing that? So the first step, I think, is for you to go on the MAS website, and based on where you live, find out if you have a MAS chapter close to where you live, because the brother did say if there's MAS somewhere close to him. And there's multiple chapters across Texas. We have more than one in Ohio, Michigan. We have, in California. We have 40 chapters across the country. So you go on our website. There's a little link. It says our chapters, and there's actually those a link that gives you all the chapters and connects you to their websites. So you can find out where MAS is close to you. And you go to that center, you find the people that work there, the front desk, the executive director, the youth directors over there, and find out how you can get your children active locally. You can get them involved in the youth programming, the camps that they have. There's many of our chapters have Girl Scouts, even Friday Night Lives for teenagers, high school programming. So that's the local experience your children can have. If you do not have a chapter, then we have our virtual chapter, our virtual reality as MAS National, where your children can get involved and get their tarbiyah and their commitment to community, and even start to work on projects on a national level with people across the country, things that they're interested in through our virtual chapter. And you can also get access to the applications for the virtual chapter on our website. Now, in both cases, if you get your children involved on a local level and a national level, your children can also become involved with us through things like we mentioned, like P100. That's a lot of ilm, a lot of tarbiyah that they get through some scholars from the Boston Islamic Seminary and some MAS speakers. Excellent project that we have. We have 4 regional tarbiyah and ilm camps that happen across the country. Actually, we finish here tomorrow morning. We have a tarbiyah and ilm camp in Santa Barbara, California, 1 week long. So find out when the next Tarbiyah and Ilm camp is, the one that's closest to your region. We have South, East, Midwest, and West. Send your teenage children to that space to be together with people that are going to help them kind of recommit to their faith, recommit to their activism, find their skill set and what excites them and how they're going to use that for sabilillah. So these are some ideas of how you can get your children involved, inshallah.
If you have any more question note cards, or can you come up to the mic if you don't mind? And so the mic is available again for live questions. If you're not comfortable, we have a volunteer, mashallah, who will go around passing around note cards and a pen if you need.
And you can share your moments with MAS too. If you
Yes.
Okay, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. My name is Abdullah.
Only the good ones, Abdullah.
Only the good ones. It's usually the ones that you're in. So, my name is Abdullah. I'm from MAS, New York. I'm 20 years old, and I would consider myself one of the MAS babies, which means your parents were part of MAS. But then something really that came to mind as we were talking is that there's a stage when you're a MAS baby where you choose to be MAS, where it's like you're 17, 18 years old, your parents have been paying for your dues or haven't, but you choose to say that you want to be involved or you want to be connected. And so the biggest thing that comes to mind really to me is in this country, as Muslims, we are part of an ummah all across the world. And to be part of an ummah, to be devoted to an ummah, is to be devoted to a movement. And the movement that moves this ummah in the United States is MAS. And so the way I think about it is, and I challenge the attendees, I challenge people that are here in this room, is what is stopping you from being part of the movement? Is there a specific hindrance? Is MAS not close to you, and so there's a virtual chapter? Is it the dues and Sister Mafessa to speak to her? And so for me, it's almost it makes so much sense to do it just because, and this goes to my MAS moment, I was involved with MAS maybe from 14 years old. I used to come to the center with my dad, a brand new center in MAS-ICNA that's now expanding, alhamdulillah, into a huge 6,000 square foot facility. But when I came 14 years old, I was just a regular masjid attendee. But the moment that I wanted to be involved at 14 years old, I was able to join their youth committee. And that was something that I've never seen before, is that someone that is that young could be involved to a level that you're organizing events for an entire community. And so from that, like automatically, I was like, okay, this is where I want to be. This is where I can hit the ground running. And this is where I can create the most impact. And so 14, 15, 16 years old, I passed on and I realized that it wasn't just a roadblock where I eventually come up and say, okay, I'm tired. I don't know what else to do. I started the youth department. I was like, okay, the youth department, I'm having fun. I want to go to the public affairs and civic engagement department, where I want to get involved with connecting our community to other communities. And so there was always a route for me to go down, especially in MAS. And for us young people, we have that energy. We have that excitement, especially when we want to be part of a movement. And so I want to challenge all of us here today to take that step, whether it's you've been under your parents for a long time, and so you want to start your own MAS membership, or you want to start your MAS membership from the start, and you want to be part of this journey, you want to be that change maker to help with the movement for this ummah in America.
Nobody paid you to say that, right?
No one paid me.
I know Abdullah growing up. We live in the same community. Just
Abdullah mentioned our PACE department, which we've forgotten to mention. Jazakallah khair, Abdullah, for reminding us. Abdullah actually is the director of the PACE in MAS New York. PACE stands for Public Affairs and Civic Engagement, because I mentioned when I spoke about the mission of MAS, but the mission is leading to a greater vision. And that vision is a vibrant American Muslim community that strives for justice and virtue in our society, right? And so that's where the public affairs and civic engagement. We can't continue to just be involved in our own message, in our own Islamic schools, in our own little, bubbles. We have to go out there and be involved in public sphere and in, the politics and the communities beyond ours. So we have a department in MAS National. We have a national director, Sister Ismahan. She spoke with Brother Ayman the hour ago on the main stage. And then we have chapters that have PACE teams, of which Brother Abdullah leads the one in New York. So again, that's another way that if you have young men and women, if you have children that are interested in that train of getting involved. So, when you come to MAS, you can become a youth director, you can become an imam, you can get involved in politics, you can become involved in, relief organizations. We channel your strengths and your aspirations to when we help you find your place. Sister Munira Yaqeen Abdullahi, she's still in the room? She just walked out. She's one of our success stories, right? She's a MAS baby, grew up in MAS Columbus, and she just won her seat in MAS, the Columbus state rep, right? So we encourage this growth and development of excellence and leadership in our members, inshallah.
Any further questions?
Can I share something?
Yes, please.
I'm biased to where Abdullah came from because this is my community. Staten Island, Brooklyn, New York. Alhamdulillah, this is one of our sub-chapters in MAS New York. I was blessed to be part of the team, the founding team that put together the first youth center in the country in Brooklyn, then later on in Staten Island. And I actually, today, as we stand, the current board of trustees of MAS in Brooklyn and Staten Island, the overwhelming majority, I think 5 out of the 7 board members are born and raised in Brooklyn, New York, Brooklyn and Staten Island. Our current chairman, who actually oversees 3 institutions, the Youth Center, MAS Community Center in Staten Island, MAS Community Center in Chapshead Bay, is brother Malik Hassan. He actually was 4 years old when we established the Youth Center in 2001. 2 months after September 11. He was 4 years old coming to the center. He attended his first Quran class in the youth center. He had his first part-time job as a high schooler in the youth center. Later on, he became the president of MSA in, I think, Brooklyn College. Then today, at 25, he's a chairman of our board. This is, we believe, actually in empowering young people, and he's looking for a sister to get married. So if you know one, just let me know.
Yes, please.
Does MAS have set criteria or qualifications for someone to establish a chapter or be a youth leader or whatever?
So that you can answer the youth leader.
You start with the chapter. Go ahead.
That's a good question. I mean, we do have some criteria for membership, but again, if there is a community that doesn't have a MAS chapter or people are interested, we would like a group of individuals, at least maybe 4 or 5, to agree to be part of the MAS Tarbiyah program. Because again, we always try to strike this balance between activism and tarbiyah. We don't just throw some bunch of activities that end up to hurt a local community or to fire back to the organization. We want the commitment of individuals to join a MAS Tarbiyah program. Whether that is an Usra program or it is Kia group, we have a variety of programs in Tarbiyah. Whether annual camp, monthly revive, a weekly Usra, a Tazkiyah group. Again, we provide this both virtually and physically. If people are committed to be part of this Tazkiyah or Tarbiyah program, then we can agree on putting a unit that can turn to be a chapter later on. And again, they need to be part of the national network, attend monthly meeting for chapters, and we can take it to the next level. We'll assess that case by case, but we're definitely open to, initiate, programs and chapters in different communities across the country where we don't have existing chapters, inshallah.
So once if you're able to connect with the leadership and establish a chapter, they can be chapters can be, we just our newest chapters in Alabama actually doesn't have too many Muslims in there, but there are a few brothers and families who are excited to start this kind of work and to bring this kind of da'wah and understanding. And so once they found a space, they established a chapter, they signed the affiliation agreement with MAS National, and that helps us provide resources for them. So then they connect with Brother Ahmed Sak, for example, and say, what kind of, he runs national programming, what kind of programs can you bring to us, or can we attend virtually so that we can, train our youth? We have the annual summit. So the summit brings the youth directors and to-be youth directors and to-be halakha mentors. We bring them in a space and we train them, we provide them training. I talked about the mentor development program. So what National does is once you've established a core group of people who are ready to move the community to the next level, then you connect with us And based upon our resources, we share what we have, revive packages. So you have a new center and you want to have a monthly qiyam, you have a revive. This is a topic that you can talk about. These are some activities. So we make it actually easier for you to bring life to your center by providing as many resources for you. We even will sometimes help you fly out speakers, national speakers and stuff, to bring some life to your new chapter. So inshallah, it's a process and that we can help you, guide you through, inshallah, starting with your connection with Brother Ayman.
So with that, we are close. We're short on time. It's 4:15. We'd like to close the session. I'd like to ask just of you a few things. Get our contact information. You have myself. I have business cards. Brother Ahmed Saqr has business cards. We have flyers in the back there that explain our 4 highlighted programs that we shared, and also has a link for membership. We have posters, alhamdulillah, of our publications. There's one right here. There's one in the back there. And it allows you the opportunity to get direct access to our deliverables. And so just, the takeaway is to walk away with something, even if it's just a business card or a flyer. And with that said, jazakumullah khairan. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.